Hello and welcome to today's video. It's about transcendental meditation, Stoicism, and the connection between them. In this particular connection, I will talk also about judgment and specifically about postponing your judgment and how Stoicism can help you achieve that with transcendental meditation, or vice versa. The two tie in very nicely together, I think. But first of all, I owe you a definition of transcendental meditation. I'm just gonna use and read out the definition I got from Wikipedia. Then I will go into my take on this particular definition and what transcendental meditation has so far done for me. Admittedly, I've only done it for 3 weeks. And then I will go into Stoicism. I will talk about also my limited understanding of Stoicism. I can't say I'm a scholar. And then the postponement of judgment, or trying to not judge, and how that all nicely connects to each other. But before I go into that, I would like to thank our sponsor for this video, Brambalance. Thank you very much for supplying me with nice swag. And for helping out with this particular video. So what is transcendental meditation? Well, the meditation practice involves the use of a silently used mantra for about 15 to 20 minutes twice per day while sitting with your eyes closed. It's very simple. It's just a one sentence method for using this particular meditation. And you can go much deeper into detail about it, but there's plenty of videos that will explain you in great detail what the practice involves and what it helps you to achieve in a very in-depth. Go, and if you are interested, look up TM or Transcendental Meditation in combination with David Lynch, of course. Had a blackout right there, doesn't matter. So, who is the founder of Transcendental Meditation? Well, this is the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and he wrote in his 1963 book, The Science of Being and Art of Living. Over time, through the practice of the TM technique, the conscious mind gains familiarity with deeper levels of the mind, bringing the subconscious mind within the capacity of the conscious mind, resulting in expanded awareness in daily activity. So what my take is that what's happening while you are repeating the mantra during your meditation is that while you are repeating the mantra, the mind is occupied to a certain level and is therefore more susceptible to wander off. And in this constant state of mild distraction of the conscious mind, the subconscious mind is able to let thoughts freely emerge to the conscious mind. Because the conscious mind is sort of distracted, it does not have all of the usual defense mechanisms in place. In addition, anything that is thrown up by the subconscious is neutralized by repeating the mantra in what I believe to be a similar way as with EMDR. So in EMDR, a doctor or a psychiatrist or psychologist or the treating person and the treated person engage in a certain process where the treater asks certain questions and the patient answers those questions, and in the meantime, and these are usually emotionally meaningful events that are being discussed, meaningful for the patient. So they involve a lot of emotions and are sometimes traumatic, and those emotions are sort of neutralized by following the finger. So the conscious mind is also, as with transcendental meditation, sort of distracted to a certain level, and when those emotions or thoughts or memories are revisited after a session, then those are the heavy emotions that are associated with it are sort of neutralized. Okay, so back to transcendental meditation. In practice, that means that you start with your meditation session and you're repeating your mantra continuously until you get distracted. At least that's the way I experience it. Maybe it's different for other people. So I also have to add maybe that I probably have ADHD, and this is also one of the reasons why I was interested in transcendental meditation in the first place, to see if I could fight off certain symptoms, and I think I have, or that it at least helps. But I will devote another video to that if I will do that, because I have ADHD, so I might not. Who knows? So you are meditating and you are repeating your mantra, and your subconscious mind throws up something and you have to deal with it. What I've noticed is that oftentimes I can synchronously repeat the mantra and think about something until that other thought takes over, and I forget to do the mantra, and then I catch myself being distracted too much, and I say, hey, you were busy with the mantra, so go back to the mantra. So back and so forth. So you observe and go through a certain thought, whatever comes up, and at first this happens parallel to repeating the mantra. So you're silently repeating the mantra in your head, and synchronously you are going through a memory, an idea, a desire, some form of distress or delight or a fear. And as soon as you realize your mind is distracted, you turn back to your mantra without judgment, which I think is very important. This is not necessarily what I've heard or read or was taught about transcendental meditation, that you have to try and observe your thoughts without judgment, but that's what I make of it, at least what TM, as far as I know, and I don't know a lot again, is that you should try and get back to your mantra, and it doesn't say much what you should do with those thoughts that may intrude. So how does it tie in with Stoicism? So what is the definition of Stoicism? I would like to use a quote from Marcus Aurelius, who wrote Meditations. Interesting that he called it Meditations, but he didn't know about transcendental meditation. He might have meditated, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate about it, at least not in this video. So he said, constantly regard the universe as one living being, having one substance and one soul, and observe how all things have reference to one perception. The perception of this one living being, and how all things act with one movement, and how all things are the cooperating causes of all things that exist. Observe too the continuous spinning of the thread and the structure of the web. So it's interesting that he describes this oneness, which is central to transcendental meditation. Because within transcendental meditation, you also try to transcend the individual perception that you have of yourself to connect to the universe. Yeah, that's in a nutshell what the intention is, I guess, and that's also where they sort of connect. The oneness with the universe and the transcendental experience are, in other words, central to Stoic philosophy. It should also be noted that the Stoics believe that you shouldn't judge, not to judge your own thoughts, but also to not judge others, because things are simply the way they are. Marcus Aurelius said that if you don't do that, then you are fighting against the natural order of things. My words, where I synthesize his, of course. We may, in other words, observe idiotic thoughts or idiots outside of ourselves, but we do not need to add any judgment to this particular observation. So what may you encounter during transcendental meditation? And this is exactly what Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics said you may encounter in yourself or in others. So distress, meaning envy, rivalry, jealousy, compassion, anxiety, mourning or sadness, troubling, grief, lamenting, depression, vexation, despondency, fear, and we mean sluggishness, shame, fright, timidity, and so on. Then also lust, they understand that also to be anger, hatred, enmity, wrath, greed, and longing. But also delight, malice, rapture, and ostentation. To be fair, I don't know what all of these terms mean. Ostentation, I have no clue. But what the mechanism behind it is that all of these sensations, you should not be happy or sad or judge them as being good or bad, but just as that they just are. So for instance, if during a meditation a certain thought comes up or a certain emotion comes up, you take a step back, you think about, you don't try and think about it more than it actually is, or at least that's what I try to do, and just try to observe it and go with that particular thought until you catch yourself that you're going with the thought and not actually repeating your mantra. You don't have to force it. There's nobody standing next to you who will give you a slap on the wrist when you are not going repeating the mantra, nor should you do that in your head yourself. And by practicing that, I feel like it's also easier to do that in real life, so outside of the meditation. And this is certainly true, I've noticed for myself. I think for years already I've struggled with being quite harsh in the judgment towards the thoughts that I sometimes had about certain people, and also in the judgment that I had towards those people, because I felt betrayed, I felt sold short, I felt offended, and I kept going back to these emotions in some sort of way, but it didn't serve me at all. I wasn't going to plot revenge, so I was only tormenting myself. And only recently I realized, but it's not something you can realize, it's not rational. It's more that something comes up, like it is indeed, comes up from your subconscious mind to your conscious mind, and in that way you expand that, just because someone else has done me wrong or has judged me in a certain way, doesn't mean that I have to try and right that wrong with another wrong, or that I should keep on bothering myself with unconstructive thoughts, or that I should respond with harsh judgment from someone else with a harsh judgment from me. Just because you have invested negative energy in me doesn't mean that I'm going to give you any energy back. But it's the same in the relationship we have with ourselves, not just the relationship we have with others. You also don't have to, just because there's a voice coming up in your head that says something really cruel, which I believe we all may have or may experience at some point in our lives, because it also serves a purpose. This particular voice is there to protect us, for instance. Doesn't mean that we have to fight it off. We can just observe that thought, and this will ultimately also reveal where that thought may come from. And then we may observe that particular thought and that motivation, and in that way we expand further and further. So thus far this particular video, I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful to see the connection. I think they really strengthen each other. I hope you feel the same way and that you may take something from this. I might make another video on transcendental meditation and ADHD, as I said before. Really depends if I feel like it. So there you go.